Genesis 13. Abram and Lot cannot coexist because they are way too rich. And say hello to the Sodomites. Quick refresher. When we left off, Abram was kicked out of Egypt by Pharaoh with his half-sister wife Sarai and his nephew Lot. So Abram went up from Egypt to the Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. Here's some foreshadowing for you. Lot is going to do some very disturbing things with his daughters. And in case you're wondering where he got that incestuous idea from, maybe it came from his uncle who married his half-sister. The aristocrats! Again. And how did Abram get rich? He left a place where there was a famine. And then he went to Egypt where he pimped out his sister wife. So the only way he could have gotten very wealthy is either that or he was hoarding livestock and money at a time when his people were starving. That isn't any better. What is this, North Korea? From the Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier and where he had first built an altar. There, Abram called on the name of the Lord. Silly me, thinking you can talk to God wherever you are, whenever you want. Nope! Gotta be near your altar, or God apparently can't hear you. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. How did Lot get rich all of a sudden? What was he giving up to Pharaoh? And isn't that just a perfect encapsulation of rich people? Instead of pooling their resources and helping everyone, they decide there's not enough room for the two of them. They're family, but they can't coexist because they have too much gold and cows. Instead, they must stake out their own communities. Even in biblical times, we needed to tax the rich. Good thing there's no famine anywhere. So Abram said to Lot, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." Somehow this turned into a vaudeville routine. You go left, I'll go right. No, I mean your left. Okay. 1, 2, oh, we went the same way. Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan towards Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Whoa! Spoiler alert! So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out toward the east. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord. He pitched his tents near Sodom. I think we all know what that means. God knows. I know this sounds obvious, but why were those Sodomites wicked? How were they sinning? You can't just say those words without offering detail. Do you know how many ways there are to sin? And these people were sinning greatly. That almost sounds impressive. I know we often think of sodomy as two men being together sexually, but the Bible does not explicitly say that here. It could be anything. Maybe they were voting for Democrats. Actually, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 16, verse 49, lays out the actual sins taking place in Sodom. You ready for this? They include pride, gluttony, sloth, greed, and not helping the poor. Every televangelist is a sodomite. Seriously, think about all the things God has already been mad about. People asking questions, people eating fruit, people seeing their drunk father naked, people marrying someone else's wife. God has been okay with murder. He's already committed genocide himself. He's doomed people to slavery. Whatever the Sodomites are doing, how bad could it possibly be compared to what God has done up until now? The Lord said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, "Look around from where you are, to the north and south, to the east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you." So Abram went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tents. There he built an altar to the Lord. The last time God gave someone a huge swath of land, there was a tree, and eating from it led to the invention of death. So maybe he needs to stop giving people gifts. Also, this was written before anyone knew how many specks of dirt there were, because there's no way the global population has caught up with the number of atoms. That's not gonna happen. But these verses should be taken seriously. God just gave the land of Canaan to Abram. That story has basically been used as justification for various groups occupying the Middle East. God gave them this piece of land forever. How dare anyone else try to lay claim to it? So what have we learned? Nothing. We never learn anything. But we now have a new definition of sodomite that seems to include the sort of people who still say the word sodomite.